Tuesdays with Gordon. And good morning to you, Gordon. How are you doing?
Good evening to you, Tommy, and all those listening in at this time of day in Chicago.
Gordon, how is your weather in Singapore? Because I'm about to complain to you about my weather in Chicago.
Oh, it's getting really, really pleasant in Singapore, so it's getting cooler. So that's very useful. Unfortunately, it's still as humid as ever, but yes, it's getting better. So we're getting a little
Yeah.
more breeze and so on. What's weather like in Chicago?
Well, before that is when it gets cooler, does the humidity drop at all? Or I know a lot of times the rain, all of that stuff builds into the humidity.
I guess a little bit, just a little bit. Yeah, but yeah, it's
Got
just a
it.
small
Okay.
bit. So tell me about your
If
weather.
I
How harsh is
if
it?
if I had the chance to show you a picture of everything that we're doing, we have snow, we have freezing weather. It's going to get even more freezing on Thursday, but the snow keeps coming down, and I'm saying, oh my gosh, I'm sick and tired of the snow.
Oh no, yeah, yeah. A friend of ours who lives who's staying in Japan, just showed me a place, their place, and it's like piled thick with snow. It's gonna come up to
Yes.
their first story. It's gonna come up to their first
Yeah.
story very soon.
Now, Gordon, have you ever seen snow in Singapore before?
Never, it'll never snow in
Yeah.
Singapore. Never.
Got it. Yeah. Wow. And if it does drop, how cold does it even get in Singapore?
As cold as summer. Were you?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, no, no, just kidding you. But I guess it's. I don't think we've ever gone below fifth. No, I don't think we've ever gone below 20.
Okay. Yeah. Very,
Yeah.
very nice. Well, when we're sitting there, what today's article today is what sets inspirational leaders apart. What do you think about that when you think of inspirational leadership and those who are uninspirational?
I like the article because the opposite word I think was irritating or something like that.
Hmm.
And yeah, I guess leaders can be inspirational, which means that you would like to follow such a leader, or irritating, which you try to avoid following this leader, but because perhaps circumstances or position forces you to be that. And I think it's always much better to be liked than not liked, right?
Yeah. Have you ever had a uninspirational leader in your life, Gordon?
Oh my God, I think I had a few. I'm sure you have too.
Mhm. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally. Who was when I say that, who comes to mind?
Oh,
And what made
so
that person uninspirational?
well, in the first place, he was very self-centered. All he cared about was how he was going to win or how he was going to get
Hmm.
take advantage of the situation, and we were just his minions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Versus one of the uninspirational leaders that I've worked with is this individual was probably one of the lazier person in the room, but this person always wanted to be up front in leadership roles. And so he would get up front, he would talk, but he never wanted to do anything and he would delegate everything. But yet at the same time, he would make sure that everyone knew that they had to work hard. But he was the laziest guy in the room. It drove me nuts. It just drove me nuts.
Yeah, agree, agree. Yeah, and so I think that makes just grates against you, and it makes you feel as if
Yeah.
why should I even follow this person?
Yeah, but one of the best, most inspirational person I ever met and got a chance to work with was this guy named Alec Hill. And here's one story that I loved about him. He would work with what they call InterVarsity, which works with college students. And he sat there, and one time there was a group of students there for about 20 people. And usually, when you have an older person there with a group of students, he would sit there and usually what those leaders would just lecture, share, tell stories, all of that. He went around that room, Gordon, and he made those college students feel like they were the most important people in the room. He was
Hmm.
older, but he went to each person, reaffirmed them, asked them questions like they were heard. He was amazing. It was that little event that really showed me how can a common, a regular person who wasn't the best speaker in the world, who wasn't the most charismatic in the world, but boy, he just loved people very much.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that that's a very important characteristic of an inspirational leader, the ability to project that care, so people around him or her would know very, very quickly how cared they are.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the three things that we're going to talk about today is visionary, exemplar, and mentor. What are some of those things as we dive deep into each one of them? What does visionary look like to you?
Wow. Okay. So the article suggests that to be considered visionary, you need to be to present the right message in the right way and at the right time. So I like that, the right message in the right way and at the right time. And I thought that was really nice, because you need inspirational leaders, or leaders need a good message.
Yeah, it talks about the two types: inspiring leaders and infuriating leaders. Inspiring leaders offer a big picture, values based, optimistic vision of the future that propels people toward collective goals. Infuriating leaders, by contrast, are small minded, valueless, pessimistic. Thoughts, comments?
Well, I think infuriating leaders may not be valueless. Just that the values could be very self gratifying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like, for instance, even when you think of a visionary leader, going back to your example, who was a good visionary? Was it their speech? Was it their actions? What made for you a good visionary leader?
I think that uh, care towards the other, to the people he's leading or she is leading, and because of that care, that mind space that the person has for the people that he or she is leading, it comes through as a message that continually unfolds itself. That's what it feels to me.
And one of the things I love is equally important is how often you are presenting your vision. And so, in some sense, actually, it could be values, it could be little aspects of the vision, it could be small parts, but you're always talking about it. Here's one thing: is this guy from Stanford analyzed that leaders were 10 times as likely to be criticized for under communicating the vision as they were for over communicating. So, as much as you're over community, it is so much more important to under communicating that vision.
Yeah, so I think under communicating is also important in the sense of getting feedback. If you're just gabbing away all the time, trying to just push your agenda, you can come across as being a little bit too self-centered. I just want my message to be that to get through. But being under communicating sometimes just to draw people out, I think that's really important as well.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times we always assume, oh, people know the vision, they know what they're, but you always got to just teach it. You got to live it. You got to be telling stories about it. And so, like, even with Resource Global, our vision is to help young marketplace leaders all over around the world understand what God has called them individually to do. And so I'm going to tell stories of what that looks like in South Africa, in Indonesia, in Singapore. I'm going to talk about how that doesn't look like, the motivations, the values, all of the things that you need behind it.
Agree, and so the resource global leaders like yourself, have a very convicting message. Well, in a sort of way, a little bit of a different angle. Being from Singapore, one of the inspirational leaders has always been Lee Kuan Yew, and he
Mm-hmm.
too had very strong principles, and their principles were shared with many of the Singaporeans who believed in him. And I think he kept repeating that kind of different aspects of that message
Yeah.
that we have to survive.
Yeah. Like, for instance, in Singapore, that's why I love the story of Singapore. If that your president of Singapore in the early days said to everyone, no one benefits. Whatever decision we make, the whole country benefits. But yet his actions are he benefits for himself all the time. That vision does not translate to actions. You have to have it in both words and in action to have consistency all throughout.
Yeah, that's right. And so I think to be a visionary or inspirational leader, the vision that you cast has to be shared and kind of uh, enjoyed by everyone.
Yeah. What about exemplar? We talked about visionary. What's exemplar?
Wow. Okay. So that one's hard because it is the kind of inner life of that leader. It says that inspiring leaders are calm and courageous, facing danger and protecting others from it. Um, and so that's very personal. That affects your own life as a leader. So this is where I think the depth of that leader comes out. So exemplar
Yeah.
as meaning that you lead by example.
Yeah, it's what we talked about. It is in everything that you do, not that you're perfect. You're showing how your actions, your motivations, your inner life, your outside life, your words, your actions are all consistent. And that is exemplar. Not only are you having a vision, hey guys, the entire country is going to benefit. Singapore is going to be a powerhouse country, but then the first person who has to really be able to do it is your leader who exemplifies what that vision looks like.
Agree. And so this requires of the leader to be very clear about their own values, very clear about what they were living it for. And so I like the little exercise that the article suggests up in Visionary. It says that list up to 5 values that are important to you, and now place them in a hierarchy where the most important are at the top. So I think if you want to be an inspirational leader, you need to start with knowing what you really want and then live those things.
Yeah, yeah. And then not only do you live those things, you have to be consistent. And that means you're not going to do it perfect. An exemplar leader also knows when they've made a mistake. Guys, I messed up here. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what I thought. All of those things. Everyone knows that you're going to mess up. Everyone knows that you're not going to be perfect. But communicate. An exemplary leader communicates with humility times when they've made a mistake.
Exactly. And making mistakes is so human, but also more importantly, we would like to avoid things that are inconvenient, things that are maybe confrontational, things that may be difficult or rubs against us. And when you have the courage to stand up and say, I'll still stand up for those values despite being inconvenient, being dangerous, confrontational, I think want to stand up, then that makes you a really exemplar leader, I think,
Yeah.
of example.
Does it make you become more authentic?
Well, I think being authentic makes you, a better leader, a more inspirational leader,
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, yeah, totally. How about mentor? Talk to me about being a mentor.
Right. And whilst we were discussing this, I was thinking, no, this sounds like leadership isn't for everybody. I mean, many of us don't feel like we need to stand up and lead people. Some of us feel like we're inadequate and so forth. And so an inspirational leader has to kind of draw out people, and that's where being a mentor is important, right?
Yeah, because infuriating leaders who are mentors ignore, diminish, and control others. Inspiring leaders empower, elevate, and empathize with their teams. They inspire, they mentor people to go out ahead of them, to really be able to do well in their job, to be excellent, and even at times overshadow them because some of the people you're mentoring may have more skills than you. But it's the secure mentors who are able to elevate so those guys could grow.
Absolutely. And it's so interesting because the article quotes this Confucius, and he says, Confucius said, tell me and I will forget. Show me and I may remember. Involve me and I will understand. So I think that the ability to pull people alongside you and
Mhm.
walk your journey, that's going to be important as a
Yeah.
mentor.
Another quote from is we all crave someone who values us, celebrates us, and guides us to be the best version of ourselves. But at the same time, a good a mentor is one who is able to do all these things. And even if that person succeeds, they're okay because it's not, they don't have this attitude of, oh, wait, shouldn't I get the credit? No, no. Your job is to give credit to other people.
Exactly. And not only giving credit, but I think being able to elevate people, to put people up so that other people can recognize and feel the person being mentored.
Yeah. The prompt that they use, look at the world from the vantage point of a colleague. What motivates and what challenges that person? I love that thought.
Yeah. Tell me, what do you think when you read that?
When I sit there and let me read it again, look at the world from the vantage point of a colleague, what motivates and what challenges that person. I have to always be thinking of the other person. I always have to think about what motivates that other person. I have to think about what causes, what discourages that person. I have to adjust my leadership style to theirs.
Exactly. And I think that makes you an inspirational leader because you're very concerned with the other person, empathizing with the person, empowering person, enabling person. I don't know, the three E's, I suppose. I think
Yeah.
it makes that so wonderful.
And Gordon, a lot of times I got to get to know them. For instance, at my church, I work with a bunch of young adults, about 60 of them. I said to them when I walked in this week, I said, I'm going to spend some time with each one of you guys. We're going to do it through phone calls. We're going to do it through breakfast. We're going to do all those different things. Why? Because I am not going to stand here and tell you what I'm going to do and have you say, I'm in charge. You people are doing this. If you don't like it, tough. No, no, no. I'm going to sit here and tell you. I want to get to know each one of you. I want to hear your opinions. I want to hear your thoughts. But then I want you to be involved because we're all going to do it together because I don't know what I'm doing, but I need you to guide me and help me out with it.
So I like that because that tells me that you're really in one-on-one. You don't just know the group; you know each one of
Mhm.
them, and the group sometimes just causes the individual to fade away or disappear. But the fact that you know each and every one of them makes them feel special. I think it makes them know Tommy as Tommy, not just Tommy, the
Agreed.
person who drives me around.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. And here's one thing. Every morning, here's one thing that they did at the last minute. A practical suggestion. Every morning, reach out to at least one coworker and praise that person for a task done well, or say thank you for making your life easier. That's one practical thing that you could do every single day to brighten that person's life as a good leader and as an inspirational leader.
Tommy, sometimes when someone listens to that, they think, oh, this is, this positive psychology, hogwash, and all that. But actually, I think what that does is it forces the leader to see or to understand and appreciate what's valuable in that person they're talking about. So, for example, if you looked at one person and say, wow, I really want to be thankful for that person, suddenly your impression of that person has changed from something like he's just another member to wow, I can appreciate him for this.
And let's say, for instance, if you're in a team meeting and you notice that one person stood out because they involved others, hey, so and so, I just want to thank you to really be able to call out and get so and so involved because so and so has so many good ideas, but he or she tends to be very quiet. Thank you for getting her or him involved because it really, I can see it allowed them to feel like they're part of the group. If you say that to the employee or a team member, they'll notice that you paid attention and that would mean a lot to them.
Exactly, and I think in that example itself, you not only praise the person who helped, but you praise the person who's being helped. Like
Yeah,
oh
agreed.
wow, I see the good of that person, and that's really wonderful.
Yeah. Well, Tuesdays with Gordon, what sets inspirational leaders apart? Any other thoughts as we wrap up here, Gordon?
I think inspirational leaders just really need to live it out.
Yeah. Thank you, Gordon. We'll talk soon. And hey, enjoy your trip next week.
Yeah, it sounds like we're gonna talk only after Christmas. So Merry Christmas.